They believe some people are natural speakers and others are not. Most people think confidence is something you are born with, but that is not true. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. Confidence is not a gift. Every day, conversations shape our lives. A simple talk can build trust. A single sentence can change how others see us. Yet many people stay silent, not because they lack ideas, but because they fear being judged. This audiobook is for those moments. The moments when your heart beats faster before speaking. The moments when you replay conversations in your head, wishing you had said something better. Here, you will learn how confident communication really works. Not through tricks, not through fake charm, but through understanding people, emotions, and yourself. If you want to continue this journey with me, subscribe to this channel now. This is your blueprint, and your journey begins now. Chapter 1. Where confidence really begins. Confidence in communication does not begin with words. It begins much earlier than that. It begins in the mind. Before you ever speak, your brain makes decisions for you. It decides if a situation feels safe or risky. It decides if you should talk or stay quiet. Most of the time this happens without you noticing. Think about the last time you wanted to say something important. Maybe in a meeting, maybe in a class, maybe in a casual conversation with friends. You probably knew what you wanted to say, but something stopped you. The words were there. That something was not a lack of intelligence. It was not a lack of vocabulary. It was fear. Fear shows up in quiet ways. It tightens your chest. It speeds up your heartbeat. It makes your thoughts feel crowded. And suddenly staying silent feels easier than speaking. This is where most people get stuck. They believe the fear means they are bad communicators. They believe confident people do not feel this fear. But that belief is wrong. Confident communicators feel fear too. The difference is how they understand it. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal. It is your brain trying to protect you from embarrassment, rejection, or judgment. Long ago, being rejected by a group could be dangerous, so your brain learned to be careful. It still treats a conversation like a survival situation. The problem is that your brain has not updated its rules. It does not know that a mistake today will not ruin your life. When you understand this, something changes. You stop fighting the fear. You stop judging yourself for feeling nervous. Instead, you start working with it. The first step to confident communication is awareness. You need to notice what happens inside you before you speak. Pay attention to your inner voice. That voice often speaks fast. It says things like, "What if I sound stupid?" It says, "Everyone will judge me." It says, "I should stay quiet." This voice feels convincing, but it is not always honest. Your inner voice is based on old experiences. Maybe you were interrupted once. Maybe someone laughed at you. Maybe you were ignored. Your brain stored those moments and built rules around them. Those rules sound like truth, but they are only stories. Here is an important idea. Thoughts are not facts. They are suggestions. When your mind says, "Do not speak," you can pause. You can ask yourself a simple question. Is this thought helping me right now? You do not need to force confidence. You do not need to push yourself aggressively. You only need to create a small gap between the thought and the action. That gap is powerful. In that gap, you can breathe. You can slow down. You can choose a different response. Confident communicators are not fast speakers. They are calm speakers. They allow silence. They give themselves time. Silence is often misunderstood. Many people fear silence. They think silence means failure. They think silence means they are boring. But silence can be your ally. When you pause before speaking, your words carry more weight. People listen more closely. You appear thoughtful, not weak. This is one of the simplest changes you can make. Slow down. You do not need to answer immediately. You are allowed to think. You are allowed to breathe. When someone asks you a question, pause for 1 second. That single second can change how you feel. It gives your brain time to settle. It brings your nervous system down. Your body plays a big role in communication. Confidence is not just mental. It is physical. Notice your posture. Are your shoulders tight? Is your head lowered? Is your breathing shallow? Your body sends messages to your brain. If your body is tense, your brain assumes danger. If your body is relaxed, your brain feels safer. You do not need perfect posture. You only need openness. Sit or stand with your chest relaxed. Let your shoulders drop slightly. Take a slow breath through your nose. These small actions tell your brain that you are okay. They lower the volume of fear. Now let us talk about voice. Many people believe confident speakers have deep or powerful voices. That is another myth. Confidence is not in the pitch. It is in the steadiness. A steady voice comes from steady breathing. When you rush your breath, your voice shakes. When you hold your breath, your voice tightens. Try this. Before you speak, exhale gently, then begin talking. This keeps your voice smooth. It also slows your pace naturally. You do not need fancy words to sound confident. Simple language is often stronger. People trust clarity more than complexity. When you speak clearly, others feel comfortable listening. Another mistake people make is trying to sound perfect. They plan every sentence in their head. They edit themselves while speaking. This creates pressure. Conversation is not a performance. It is a shared moment. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to correct yourself. When you accept this, your communication becomes natural. Confidence grows when you focus outward instead of inward. If you are always thinking about how you sound, you will feel stuck. If you focus on the other person, things become easier. Ask yourself this: what does this person need right now? Understanding, clarity, support. When your attention shifts to connection, fear loses its grip. Listening is a form of confidence. When you truly listen, you do not rush to speak. You respond with intention. Good communicators are good listeners first. There is another truth many people miss. You do not need to be interesting to be confident. You need to be present. Presence means you are fully there, not planning your next sentence, not worrying about mistakes, just listening and responding. Presence makes people feel seen. That feeling builds trust. Confidence is not about dominating conversations. It is about participating fully. You might think confident people always have something smart to say, but often they simply ask good questions. Questions take pressure off you. They invite others to speak. They create flow. When you ask a sincere question, you are contributing. You are guiding the conversation. This is important if you are naturally quiet. You do not need to change your personality. You only need to use it well. Quiet people often observe deeply. They notice details others miss. When they speak, their words matter. Confidence is not about being loud. It is about being grounded. Grounded communication feels calm. It feels steady. It feels real. You build it through small actions, through awareness, through practice. You will not become confident overnight, and that is okay. Every conversation is a chance to learn, not to prove yourself, but to understand yourself. Some days will feel easy. Some days will feel awkward. Awkward moments are not failures. They are feedback. When a conversation does not go as planned, do not attack yourself. Ask gentle questions instead. What made me nervous? What can I try differently next time? Growth comes from curiosity, not criticism. As you continue this audiobook, you will learn practical ways to speak with clarity. You will learn how to express ideas, how to handle difficult conversations, how to stay calm under pressure. But remember this foundation. Confidence starts inside. It starts when you stop seeing fear as an enemy. It starts when you allow yourself to be human. It starts when you slow down and breathe. Communication is not about perfection. It is about connection, and connection begins with you. Chapter 2: Understanding the person in front of you. Every conversation involves more than one mind. Yet many people communicate as if they are alone. They focus on what they will say next. They worry about how they sound. They think about mistakes they might make. In that moment, they forget the most important part of communication: the other person. Confidence grows when you understand this simple truth. The conversation is not about impressing, it is about understanding. When you stop trying to prove yourself, pressure fades. When you start trying to understand the person in front of you, things feel easier. Most people want the same things in conversation. They want to feel heard. They want to feel respected. They want to feel safe expressing themselves. When these needs are met, conversations flow naturally. Think about someone you enjoy talking to. That person may not be the smartest. They may not talk the most, but they make you feel comfortable. Comfort creates confidence on both sides. To communicate with confidence, you must learn to read people, not in a manipulative way, but in a human way. Start with attention. When someone speaks, give them your full attention. Not half attention. Not distracted attention. Real attention. This means putting aside your phone. It means not planning your response while they talk. It means being present. People can feel when you are truly listening. They can also feel when you are not. True listening builds instant trust. Listening is not passive. It is active. You listen with your eyes. You notice facial expressions. You notice tone changes. You notice pauses. Sometimes what people do not say matters more than what they say. A short answer may hide stress. A joke may hide discomfort. A pause may hide hesitation. When you notice these signals, you can respond with care. This does not mean you analyze everything. It means you stay curious. Curiosity is powerful. It keeps you open. It keeps you calm. Instead of thinking, what should I say next? Think, what is this person really saying? This shift alone can transform your communication. Many people fear conversations because they feel unpredictable. They worry about awkward moments. They worry about saying the wrong thing. You need honest attention, but conversations become less scary when you remember this. You do not need perfect words. Another key part of understanding others is empathy. Empathy means seeing the world from their side, even briefly. You do not have to agree with them. When someone feels understood, defenses drop. You only need to understand them. Tension eases. Empathy often begins with simple responses. The conversation softens. I see what you mean. That sounds difficult. I can understand why you feel that way. These are not weak phrases. They are strong bridges. Many conflicts grow because people feel misunderstood. When understanding enters, conflict loses power. Now let us talk about assumptions. Assumptions quietly damage conversations. We assume people are judging us. We assume they are bored. We assume they disagree. Most of the time, these assumptions are wrong. Just like you are, people are usually thinking about themselves. When you assume negative intent, your body reacts. Your words become defensive. Your tone changes. Confidence fades. They may be thinking, instead of assuming, ask or observe. If someone seems quiet, do not assume disinterest. They may simply be quiet by nature. If someone disagrees, it does not mean rejection. They may be tired. It means they have a different view. Confident communicators allow differences. They do not panic when opinions clash. Not everyone wants to share deeply. They stay grounded. Understanding also means respecting boundaries. Not every moment is right for deep talk. Pay attention to energy. If someone gives short answers, they may need space. If someone opens up, meet them with care. Pushing a conversation never creates confidence. Respecting pace does. Now consider this. Every person you speak to carries their own fears, their own doubts, their own worries. The person in front of you may be nervous too. They may be afraid of being judged. They may be afraid of saying the wrong thing. When you realize this, something softens inside you. You stop feeling alone in your fear. Communication becomes a shared experience. This understanding changes your tone. It makes you gentler. It makes you more patient. Gentleness is often mistaken for weakness, but it is a form of strength. Trust is the foundation of confident communication. People trust those who feel safe. Another powerful skill is matching energy. This does not mean copying. It means adjusting slightly. If someone speaks calmly, slow your pace. If someone speaks with excitement, allow more warmth. This creates harmony. When energy matches, conversations feel natural. When energy clashes, tension rises. Matching energy shows awareness. It shows respect. It is flexibility. Confidence is not forcing your style on others. Flexibility allows connection. What if the conversation becomes awkward? Now let us address a common fear. Awkward moments happen to everyone. They are part of being human. Confidence does not mean avoiding awkwardness. It means staying calm when it appears. Pauses are normal. If there is a pause, breathe. If you forget what to say, be honest. Honesty often reduces awkwardness. A simple, "let me think for a moment," is enough. Trying to hide discomfort increases it. Mistakes happen. Acknowledging it softens it. Another fear is saying the wrong thing. Confident communicators recover instead of retreating. They clarify. They adjust. A simple correction can restore balance. Confidence is not about being flawless. It is about being adaptable. The more you interact with people, the more you learn. Every conversation teaches you something. Some teach patience. Some teach listening. Some teach boundaries. There is no wasted conversation. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Now focus on one more idea. You may forget exact words. When people feel respected, they remember you positively, but feelings stay. When they feel dismissed, they remember that too. Confidence grows when you aim to leave people feeling understood. This takes practice, not perfection. Practice starts with small moments. A greeting, a short exchange, a simple question. You do not need deep conversations every time. Even brief interactions matter. Smile gently. Maintain soft eye contact. Listen fully. These small actions build trust over time. As you practice understanding others, something surprising happens. You begin to understand yourself better. You notice what triggers you. You notice what calms you. You notice what matters to you. Self-awareness grows alongside empathy. This balance is powerful. Communication becomes less about fear and more about flow. You stop performing. You start connecting. And connection is where confidence lives. As you move forward, remember this chapter. Every conversation is a meeting of two human experiences. Approach it with curiosity. Approach it with care. Approach it with patience. Chapter 3. Speaking clearly without overthinking. Many people believe confidence comes from saying the perfect words. They believe strong speakers always know exactly what to say. That belief creates pressure before a single word is spoken. It comes from trust. In reality, clear communication does not come from perfection. Trust in your thoughts. Trust in the moment. Trust in your voice. Overthinking begins when you doubt yourself. You replay it in your head. You question every sentence before it leaves your mouth. You adjust it again and again. While you are doing this, the conversation keeps moving. The moment changes. The connection fades. This is how many people lose their voice without realizing it. Overthinking often feels like preparation. It feels responsible. It feels smart. But most of the time, it blocks clarity. When you overthink, your thoughts become crowded. You try to hold too much at once. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your body tightens. Your voice feels trapped. Clear speaking begins with letting go of control. You do not need to control every word. You only need to guide your message. Think about how you speak with people you trust. You do not plan every sentence. You speak naturally. You respond in the moment. That is not because you suddenly become smarter. It is because fear steps aside. Fear is the fuel of overthinking. Fear of sounding foolish. Fear of being judged. Fear of being misunderstood. When fear is loud, clarity disappears. The first step is recognizing this pattern. Notice when your thoughts start racing. Notice when you stop listening because you are planning. Awareness creates space. In that space, you can choose a different approach. One helpful shift is this. Stop aiming to impress. Start aiming to express. Expression is simple. It is human. It is honest. Impression is heavy. It demands perfection. It creates pressure. When you try to impress, you speak from fear. When you express, you speak from presence. Presence is the foundation of clear communication. Presence means you are here, not in your head, not in future mistakes, not in past regrets. Clear speaking does not require long explanations. Just here, it requires direction. Before you speak, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one question. What am I really trying to say? That question brings focus. You may notice that your message is simpler than you thought. Often, one sentence is enough. When you know your core idea, the rest flows more easily. Many people lose clarity because they start speaking without direction. They add details too soon. They drift away from their point. This increases anxiety. You can prevent this by grounding yourself in one idea. Start there. Let everything else support it. Another reason people overthink is fear of silence. They rush to fill every gap. They speak quickly. They add extra words. Silence feels uncomfortable at first. But silence is not your enemy. Silence gives your words space. It gives your listener time. It gives you control. When you pause, you sound thoughtful. You sound calm. Even if your heart is beating fast, your voice tells a different story. Clear speakers respect silence. They do not panic when it appears. They use it. Pace matters more than volume. You do not need to speak loudly to be confident. You need to speak steadily. Speed often signals nervousness. Slower speech signals confidence. When you feel overthinking rise, slow your pace. Let your words land. Your breathing controls your voice. When you rush your breath, your words rush too. Before speaking, exhale gently. This small action steadies your voice. It calms your body. Now let us talk about mistakes. Many people overthink because they fear mistakes. They believe one wrong word will damage their image. But conversations are forgiving. People are forgiving. Most listeners care more about meaning than perfection. They care about honesty. If you make a mistake, nothing breaks. You can correct yourself. You can clarify. A calm correction often increases trust. Confidence is not avoiding mistakes. It is recovering from them. Another hidden cause of overthinking is comparison. You compare yourself to others. You think they speak better. This comparison steals focus. You think they sound more confident. It pulls you out of the moment. Every voice is different. Every style is valid. Confidence grows when you stop measuring yourself against others. It grows when you accept your natural way of speaking. You do not need to sound like anyone else. You need to sound like yourself. Authenticity creates clarity. People trust voices that feel real. They feel distance from voices that feel forced. Trying to sound perfect often sounds unnatural. Clear communication feels relaxed. It feels grounded. It feels human. Another helpful idea is to separate thinking from speaking. Thinking happens before. Speaking happens now. When you mix them, confusion appears. Do your thinking briefly, then speak. If new thoughts arise while speaking, let them wait. You can return to them later. This reduces mental overload. Sometimes you may not know exactly what you think yet. That is okay. You are allowed to think out loud. You are allowed to explore ideas verbally. You can say, I am still figuring this out. You can say, let me explain it as best as I can. This honesty removes pressure. Pretending certainty creates tension. Admitting process creates trust. Overthinking often comes from trying to control outcomes. You want the conversation to go a certain way. You want a certain reaction. But conversations are shared experiences. You cannot control the other person. You can only show up clearly. When you release control, clarity improves. Listening also reduces overthinking. When you truly listen, your mind quiets. Listening anchors you in the present. It shifts attention away from self-judgment. Clear speakers are attentive listeners. They respond, not react. If you feel your mind racing, return to listening. Focus on the other person's words. Notice tone. Notice pauses. This grounds you. Clear speaking also improves with familiarity. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. Avoidance feeds overthinking. Practice weakens it. You do not need big stages to practice. Daily conversations are enough. Speak when you have an opinion. Share a thought. Ask a question. Small moments build confidence quietly. Over time, your brain learns something new. Speaking is safe. Mistakes are survivable. Silence is acceptable. This learning reduces fear. Fear reduces overthinking. Another powerful shift is kindness toward yourself. Harsh self-judgment fuels anxiety. Gentle awareness calms it. If you stumble over words, do not attack yourself. Notice it. Breathe. Continue. Clear communication is not a performance. Confidence grows faster with compassion. It is a connection. When you treat conversations as shared moments, pressure fades. You stop carrying the weight alone. Your voice becomes lighter. That is normal. There will still be moments of nervousness, Confidence does not mean fear disappears. It means fear no longer controls you. Each time you speak without overthinking, you build evidence. Evidence that you can handle it. Evidence that your voice matters. This evidence changes your inner dialogue. Over time, the loud critic grows quieter. The calm voice grows stronger. You begin to trust your instincts. You speak more freely. You think less. This is not carelessness. It is clarity. Clarity comes from alignment. Your thoughts, your words, your presence. When they align, communication feels natural. Remember this, you do not need perfect sentences. You need honest ones. You do not need flawless delivery. Overthinking pulls you away from the moment. You need steady presence. Clarity brings you back. Let your words come as they are. Refine them through practice, not fear. Your voice does not need permission from perfection. It needs permission from you, and that permission begins with trust. Chapter 4: Building Confidence Through Everyday Conversations. Many people believe confidence grows only in big moments. They think it appears during important meetings, interviews, or speeches. They wait for those moments to feel confident. But real confidence is built somewhere else. It is built in everyday conversations. It grows quietly in small moments, moments that seem ordinary but are deeply important. Every greeting matters. Every short exchange matters. Every small talk builds or weakens confidence. When you avoid these moments, confidence shrinks. When you step into them, confidence grows. They are not deep debates. Most conversations in life are simple. They are not emotional talks. They are brief. They are casual. They are human. Confidence develops when you stop dismissing these moments. Think about how often you speak during a normal day. A greeting in the morning, a short comment at work, a quick exchange at a store. Each of these moments sends a message to your brain. The message is simple. Speaking is safe. But when you avoid them, your brain learns something else. Speaking is risky. Your brain does not understand logic. It understands repetition. What you repeat becomes familiar. What becomes familiar feels safe. This is why everyday conversations matter so much. Confidence is built through frequency, not intensity. Small conversations lower the fear response. They teach your body to stay calm while speaking. You do not need to say anything impressive. You only need to show up. Many people overthink small talk. They think it must be clever. They think it must be interesting. In truth, small talk has one purpose: connection. It is not about the topic. It is about the tone. A simple comment can open a door. A short response can create warmth. You do not need deep ideas. You need presence. Presence shows confidence more than words. When you greet someone, look up, speak clearly, pause after you speak. This pause matters. It signals calm. Rushing through words often comes from fear. Slowing down signals control. Control does not mean dominance. It means comfort. Comfort is contagious. When you speak calmly, others relax. When others relax, conversations flow. This feedback loop builds confidence naturally. Another key part of everyday confidence is consistency. You do not need long conversations every time. You need regular ones. A short exchange today is better than silence. A simple comment tomorrow is better than avoidance. Avoidance strengthens fear. Engagement weakens it. Start with low-pressure situations, places where mistakes do not matter. A store, an elevator, a casual setting. These spaces are training grounds. You can practice eye contact. You can practice tone. You can practice pauses. Each attempt teaches your nervous system something new. You learn that nothing bad happens. You learn that people respond kindly. You learn that silence is okay. This learning builds confidence without effort. They think some people are born confident. Many people believe confidence is a personality trait, but confidence is a habit. Habits form through repetition. Everyday conversations are repetitions. Even a simple hello counts. Now consider this. Confidence is not only about speaking, it is also about responding. Many people freeze when others speak to them. They feel pressure to respond perfectly. But responses do not need to be perfect. They need to be honest. A calm response is better than a clever one. If you do not know what to say, you can pause. Pausing does not show weakness. It shows thought. You are allowed to take time. When someone speaks to you, breathe. Everyday conversations allow you to practice this. Listen, respond slowly. This builds trust in yourself. Confidence grows when you stop rushing. Another important idea is self-acceptance. You do not need to change your personality to be confident. If you are quiet, that is fine. Confidence is not about being loud. If you are thoughtful, that is fine. It is about being comfortable. Comfort comes from acceptance. When you accept your style, pressure fades. Trying to act confident often creates tension. Being yourself reduces it. Everyday conversations are the best place to practice being yourself. There is less risk, less expectation, less judgment. You can experiment gently. You can speak a little more. You can listen a little deeper. No performance required. Confidence also grows when you notice progress. Most people miss this. They focus on mistakes. Did you speak when you normally stay quiet? They ignore improvements. That is progress. Did you hold eye contact longer? That is progress. Did you recover from an awkward moment? That is progress. Confidence grows when you acknowledge these moments. Your brain needs evidence. Evidence that you are improving. Everyday conversations provide that evidence. Another common fear is rejection. People worry others will not respond well, but most everyday interactions are neutral or positive. People are usually polite. They are often kind. Your fear is usually louder than reality. Each positive interaction weakens fear. Even neutral interactions help. They show you that nothing bad happened. This is how confidence slowly replaces anxiety. Now think about tone. Tone carries more meaning than words. A warm tone invites connection. A tense tone creates distance. Everyday conversations allow you to practice tone. You can soften your voice. You can slow your pace. These small changes change how you feel. Your body listens to your voice. When your voice is calm, your body relaxes. Relaxation supports confidence. Another helpful practice is ending conversations calmly. Many people rush endings. They fear awkward goodbyes. You do not need dramatic endings. Simple ones work. A calm closing leaves a positive impression. Confidence includes knowing when to stop. Stopping naturally shows awareness. Everyday conversations teach this balance. They teach flow. Flow is the feeling of ease in communication. Flow comes from repetition. Repetition comes from everyday practice. Some days will feel smooth. Some days will feel awkward. Both are normal. Do not label days as good or bad. Label them as experience. Experience builds confidence faster than analysis. Another powerful idea is curiosity. Curiosity reduces self-focus. When you are curious, you ask questions. You listen more. You think less about yourself. Curiosity makes conversations lighter. Everyday conversations are perfect for curiosity. You can ask simple questions. Nothing deep. People enjoy being asked simple things. It makes them feel noticed. This builds connection naturally. Connection feeds confidence. Confidence grows when you feel connected. Disconnected communication feels heavy. Connected communication feels light. Everyday conversations build connection without pressure. Now consider body language. Your body speaks before your words. Everyday interactions let you practice openness. Relax your shoulders. Keep your head level. Breathe naturally. These signals tell your brain you are safe. Safety allows confidence. You do not need perfect posture. You need relaxed posture. Relaxation is more convincing than stiffness. Another important part of everyday confidence is patience. Change takes time. You may not feel confident immediately. That is normal. Your nervous system needs repetition to learn. Be patient with yourself. Confidence grows quietly. You may not notice it day to day, but over weeks and months, it appears. One day you will realize something. Speaking feels easier. This is not luck. Silence feels less threatening. It is practice. Everyday conversations did this. Avoid comparing your progress to others. Everyone grows at a different pace. Comparison creates pressure. Pressure blocks confidence. Focus on consistency. Consistency builds trust in yourself. Now reflect on this idea. Confidence is not something you turn on. It is something you build. You build it by showing up. You build it by engaging. You build it by staying present. Everyday conversations are opportunities, not tests. Treat them gently. There is no score, there is only experience. When you remove judgment, confidence grows. When you remove fear of mistakes, clarity improves. Confidence is not about being fearless. It is about being willing to speak, willing to pause. Each everyday conversation is a small step forward, willing to try again. Taken together, these steps create something strong, a steady confidence that does not rely on performance, a confidence rooted in familiarity. Familiarity with your voice, familiarity with being human, familiarity with connection. Let everyday conversations be your training ground. Let them shape your confidence quietly. Over time, you will notice that bigger conversations feel easier. Not because you forced confidence, and presence is the heart of confident communication, but because you practiced presence. Chapter 5. Using your voice as a tool, not a weapon. Your voice is more powerful than you think. It does more than carry words. It carries emotion. It carries intention. It carries meaning. Many people focus only on what they say. They forget how they say it. But listeners often respond more to tone than to words. A calm voice can soften strong ideas. A tense voice can turn gentle words into sharp ones. Confidence grows when you understand this. Your voice is not something to fight against. It is something to work with. Some people dislike their voice. They think it is too soft, too quiet, too high, too flat. This self-judgment creates tension. Tension affects sound. The more you judge your voice, the less natural it becomes. Your voice is part of you. Confidence begins with acceptance. It does not need to be fixed. It needs to be understood. A confident voice is not loud. It is clear. Most voice problems are breathing problems. Clarity comes from steadiness. Steadiness comes from breathing. When people feel nervous, they breathe shallowly. Their chest tightens. Their throat tightens. This makes the voice weak or shaky. To change this, you must return to the body. Before you speak, notice your breath. Is it fast? Is it shallow? Do not try to control it forcefully. Simply slow it down. A slow breath sends a message to your nervous system. The message is safety. When your body feels safe, your voice settles. Another important part of voice confidence is pace. Many people speak faster when nervous. Rushing creates pressure. They rush to get words out. Pressure tightens the voice. Slow speech creates space. Space allows clarity. You do not need to speak slowly all the time. You need to avoid rushing. When you feel nervous, reduce speed slightly. This small change has a big effect. People often confuse fast speech with confidence, but fast speech often signals anxiety. Steady speech signals calm. Another element is volume. Calm feels confident. Some people speak too softly, others speak too loudly. Neither is wrong by itself. The problem is inconsistency. A voice that jumps in volume feels unstable. Confidence sounds even. You do not need to project like a speaker. You need to be audible and relaxed. Let your voice sit comfortably. Do not push it. Do not hold it back. Pushing strains the voice. Holding back hides it. The goal is balance. Balance comes from awareness. Listen to yourself gently, not with judgment, with curiosity. Notice when your voice tightens. Notice when it relaxes. This awareness gives you choice. Another common issue is monotone speech. Often, monotone comes from holding emotion back. People worry they sound boring. It comes from trying to sound controlled. Emotion does not mean drama, but confidence allows emotion. It means variation. Your voice naturally changes when you care about what you say. When you speak from interest, tone shifts. Do not try to add emotion artificially. Connect to meaning instead. Ask yourself this: do I care about what I am saying? When you care, your voice responds. Confidence is alignment. Alignment between thought, emotion, and sound. Another mistake is using the voice as a weapon. Some people speak sharply to sound strong. They use force instead of presence. Force creates resistance. A calm voice often carries more authority than a harsh one. Authority does not come from volume. It comes from certainty. Certainty comes from grounding. When you speak calmly, people listen. Aggression pushes people away. Clarity invites them in. Confidence does not need to overpower. It needs to be steady. Another part of voice confidence is ending sentences. Many people lift their tone at the end. They sound unsure. This often comes from seeking approval. Ending sentences firmly create stability. You need to sound settled. You do not need to sound final. A settled tone shows comfort with your words. This takes practice. Practice happens in small moments. Everyday conversations are perfect for this. Do they trail off? Notice how you end sentences. Do they rush? Try ending calmly, not forcefully, calmly. Another element is pauses. Pauses are powerful. They give shape to speech. Without pauses, words blur together. Pauses allow meaning to land. They also give you time to breathe. Many people fear pauses. They think pauses signal weakness, but pauses often signal confidence. They show you are not afraid of silence. Silence does not mean you failed. It means you are present. Confident speakers allow silence. They let words settle. Another important idea is intention. Before speaking, know your intention. Are you informing? Are you sharing? Are you asking? Intention guides tone. When intention is clear, voice follows naturally. Confusion in intention creates confusion in sound. Clarity in intention creates steadiness. Another challenge people face is emotional leakage. Strong emotions leak into the voice. Anger sharpens tone. Anxiety raises pitch. You do not need to hide emotion. Sadness flattens sound. You need to manage it. Management begins with awareness. Notice emotion in the body. Do not fight it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge before you speak. This reduces intensity. When emotion is acknowledged, voice steadies. Confidence is emotional regulation, not suppression. Regulation. Another helpful practice is grounding through posture. Your posture affects your voice. If your body is collapsed, your voice struggles. If your body is tense, your voice strains. Aim for relaxed, upright posture, not stiff, not rigid. Relaxed posture allows breath to move freely. Free breath supports steady voice. Now consider how you listen to yourself. Many people criticize their voice internally while speaking. This creates tension. Confidence grows when you stop monitoring every sound. Speak first. During conversation, trust your voice. Evaluate later. Trust builds through use. Another factor is familiarity. The more you hear your voice, the more comfortable you become. Avoiding your voice increases fear. Using your voice reduces it. You may feel uncomfortable at first. That is normal. Discomfort does not mean failure. It means growth. Another powerful shift is to speak from meaning, not memory. Do not recite lines in your head. Respond to the moment. Reciting creates stiffness. Another mistake is apologizing for your voice. Responding creates flow. Flow sounds confident. People say things like, "Sorry if this sounds weird." This undermines confidence. You do not need to apologize for existing. Speak your message. Let it stand. If clarification is needed, clarify calmly. Confidence respects itself. Another subtle issue is rising tension during long speaking. People start calm, then tighten. This happens when breath shortens. Return to breath. Breath resets voice. You can pause. You can breathe. You can continue. No one notices as much as you think. Most listeners focus on meaning, not mechanics. This should comfort you. Your voice does not need to be perfect. It needs to be present. Now think about using your voice with kindness. Kindness softens tone. Even firm messages can be delivered kindly. Kindness does not reduce strength. It increases trust. People listen longer to voices that feel safe. Safety supports confidence on both sides. Own your voice. Another idea is vocal ownership. Do not shrink it. Do not force it. Let it be what it is. Ownership feels confident. People sense when you stand behind your words. Even quiet voices can carry authority when owned. Authority is not loudness. It is conviction. Conviction comes from clarity. Clarity comes from alignment. Alignment grows through practice. Practice happens in daily life. Speak when you have something to say. Speak calmly. Speak clearly. Notice what changes. Over time, your voice becomes familiar. Familiarity reduces fear. Fear reduces tension. One day, you will notice that your voice feels steadier. Tension reduces voice issues. This cycle works in your favor, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. You stopped fighting your voice. You started using it. Your voice is a tool, not a weapon. Use it to connect. Use it to clarify. Use it to express. When you do, confidence follows naturally. Not loud, not dramatic. Steady, clear, human. That is the voice of confidence. Chapter 6. Staying calm when conversations get difficult. Not every conversation feels easy. Some conversations carry tension. Some carry disagreement. Some carry emotion. These moments test confidence more than any other. Many people feel confident when things are smooth. They struggle when conversations turn uncomfortable. But real confidence is not about comfort. It is about calm. Calm is the skill that carries you through difficulty. Difficult conversations are part of life. They happen at work. They happen in relationships. They happen with strangers. Avoiding them may feel safe, but avoidance weakens confidence. Facing them calmly strengthens it. The first thing to understand is this: difficulty does not mean danger. Your body may react as if something is wrong. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tighten. Your thoughts speed up. This reaction is natural. It is your nervous system responding to stress. The problem is not the reaction. The problem is believing it means you are failing. You are not failing. You are experiencing intensity. Confidence begins when you separate intensity from danger. Just because a conversation feels hard does not mean it is harmful. This understanding changes how you respond. The goal in difficult conversations is not to win. It is not to dominate. It is not to prove someone wrong. The goal is to stay grounded. Grounded communication keeps your mind clear. It keeps your voice steady. It keeps your message intact. Grounding begins with awareness. Notice what happens in your body when tension rises. Your jaw may tighten. Your shoulders may lift. Your breathing may shorten. These are signals, not warnings. They tell you to slow down. Slowing down is the most powerful move you can make. When tension appears, reduce speed. Slow your speech. Slow your breath. This sends a signal to your nervous system. The signal is safety. Safety allows clarity. Many people try to push through difficulty by speaking faster. This often backfires. Fast speech increases pressure. Pressure increases mistakes. Slow speech creates space. Space allows choice. Choice allows confidence. Another important idea is emotional separation. You can feel emotion without becoming it. Feeling upset does not mean you must speak from anger. Feeling nervous does not mean you must retreat. Emotions can exist in the background. You can acknowledge them silently. You do not need to act on them immediately. This skill takes practice. Practice begins with naming emotions internally. You might think, I feel tense, or I feel defensive. Naming reduces intensity. When emotions are unnamed, they control behavior. When they are named, they soften. This internal step creates calm. Another challenge in difficult conversations is the urge to react. Someone says something sharp. You feel attacked, often harshly. Reaction wants to respond quickly. Reaction feels powerful, but it is not confidence. Confidence chooses response over reaction. A response is thoughtful. A reaction is automatic. The gap between them is created by pause. When you feel triggered, that pause protects you, even for 1 second. In that pause, breathe. Feel your feet. Feel your body. Then speak. Many conflicts escalate because both sides react. Neither side pauses. One calm person can shift the entire conversation. Calm is contagious. Another fear in difficult conversations is being misunderstood. People worry their words will be twisted. Over-explaining adds confusion. This fear often leads to over-explaining. Confidence comes from clarity, not volume. State your point simply, then stop. If clarification is needed, add it calmly. You do not need to defend every word. Defensiveness increases tension. Clarity reduces it. Another key idea is staying on one topic. Difficult conversations often drift. Old issues appear. Unrelated problems surface. This overwhelms everyone. Confidence means guiding the conversation gently. You can bring it back by restating focus. You can say what matters now. This is not control, it is structure. Structure supports calm. Another challenge is listening while emotional. Emotions make listening harder. Your mind wants to prepare a response. It wants to protect you, but listening is essential. When people feel heard, tension drops. You do not need to agree to listen. You need to understand. Understanding does not mean approval. It means clarity. Clarity prevents unnecessary conflict. One helpful approach is reflecting back what you hear. You restate meaning in your own words. This shows attention. It also corrects misunderstandings early. Many arguments continue because people talk past each other. Reflection slows the pace. Slower pace supports calm. Another important point is tone management. A calm tone can deliver firm boundaries. In difficult conversations, tone matters more than content. A harsh tone can ruin a good point. Confidence does not raise voice, it lowers it. Lower volume encourages listening. When voices rise, defenses rise. Keep your tone steady. Even if the other person raises theirs, you do not need to match intensity. Matching intensity escalates. Matching calm de-escalates. Another fear is silence during tension. Silence feels uncomfortable, but silence can reset a conversation. If things feel heated, pause. Let silence settle emotions. You can say less and achieve more. Silence gives everyone time. Time reduces reactivity. Now consider boundaries. Difficult conversations often involve crossed boundaries. Confidence includes knowing your limits. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to express discomfort. Boundaries do not need aggression. They need clarity. Clear boundaries are calm. You can state what you are willing to discuss. You can state what you are not. This protects your energy. Protecting energy supports confidence. Another challenge is staying respectful when feeling disrespected. Respect does not mean accepting poor behavior. This is difficult. It means responding with dignity. Dignity keeps you aligned with yourself. When you stay aligned, confidence remains. If someone speaks disrespectfully, you can address it calmly. You do not need to mirror disrespect. Mirroring lowers you. Calm clarity elevates you. Another fear is losing control of emotion. People worry they will say something they regret. This fear often leads to silence. Silence may feel safe, but it also creates pressure. Instead of silence, choose pacing, slow speech, short sentences. This reduces emotional overflow. If emotion feels too strong, you can pause the conversation. This is not failure, it is responsibility. Taking space is a confident choice. Another key idea is realistic expectations. Not every difficult conversation ends perfectly. Sometimes resolution takes time. Sometimes it takes multiple talks. Confidence does not demand immediate results. It focuses on process. Process means staying calm, staying clear, staying respectful. Even if the outcome is not ideal, confidence remains intact. Another trap is personalizing everything. People assume disagreement equals rejection. This assumption increases pain. Many disagreements are about needs. Separating content from identity reduces emotional load. Not about worth. You can disagree without being attacked. You can assert without being aggressive. Confidence understands this distinction. Another useful tool is grounding language. Grounding language focuses on facts and feelings. It avoids blame. Blame escalates. Grounding stabilizes. You can speak from your experience. This reduces defensiveness. Another important practice is staying curious. Curiosity reduces fear. When you are curious, you ask questions, you listen more. Curiosity shifts focus outward. Outward focus reduces internal tension. Difficult conversations feel easier when curiosity leads. Another challenge is dealing with criticism. Criticism can sting. Your instinct may be to defend or shut down. Confidence pauses. It listens for useful information. Not all criticism is fair, but some contains truth. You can take what is useful and leave the rest. Another important idea is self-respect. This approach protects confidence. Self-respect means you value your voice. Peace that costs self-respect creates resentment. You do not abandon yourself to keep peace. Confidence balances respect for others with respect for self. Another helpful skill is ending difficult conversations well. This balance is key. Not every conversation needs resolution in one moment. Ending calmly preserves dignity. You can express appreciation for the conversation. You can suggest returning to it later. This shows maturity. Maturity feels confident. Another part of staying calm is preparation. You cannot control others. Before difficult conversations, clarify your intention. You can prepare yourself. Know what matters most. This clarity anchors you. When emotions rise, return to intention. Intention guides response. Another useful idea is self-soothing. After difficult conversations, emotions linger. Do not ignore them. Acknowledge how you feel. Release tension physically. Walk, breathe. This prevents build-up. Confidence includes emotional care. Without care, confidence drains. Another truth is that mistakes will happen. You may say something poorly. You may react. This does not erase confidence. Repair matters more than perfection. You can apologize calmly. You can clarify later. Repair strengthens trust. Trust supports future conversations. Another powerful shift is patience with yourself. Learning calm communication takes time. You will improve gradually. Progress may feel slow, but it is real. Each difficult conversation you face builds strength, even if it feels messy. Messy does not mean meaningless. It means human. Confidence is not being unaffected. It is being resilient. Resilience grows through exposure. Exposure builds familiarity. Fear reduction increases calm. Familiarity reduces fear. This cycle builds confidence. You recover faster. Over time, you will notice changes. You stay clearer. Difficult conversations no longer feel impossible. They feel manageable. That is confidence. Not forceful, not loud, steady, calm, present. Staying calm in difficult conversations is a skill. Like all skills, it improves with practice. Practice does not require perfection. It requires willingness. Willingness to pause, willingness to breathe, willingness to respond instead of react. Each time you choose calm, confidence grows, quietly, reliably. Chapter 7. Asking questions that build connection. And that calm becomes your greatest strength in communication. Many people believe confidence in conversation comes from talking more. They think strong communicators always have something to say. They feel pressure to fill space with words. But some of the most confident communicators do something different. They ask good questions. Questions shift attention away from yourself. They invite others to speak. When you ask questions with calm intention, confidence appears naturally. They create connection without force. Asking questions reduces pressure. You no longer need to perform. You no longer need to impress. You become curious instead of anxious. Curiosity is powerful. It opens doors. It softens fear. When you are curious, conversations feel lighter. Many people hesitate to ask questions because they fear judgment. They worry the question will sound silly. They worry it will feel obvious. But most people enjoy being asked thoughtful questions. It makes them feel seen. It makes them feel valued. Confidence grows when you realize this. A good question is not about complexity. It is about sincerity. Simple questions often create the deepest connections. You do not need clever phrasing. You need genuine interest. Interest changes tone. When you are interested, your voice softens. Your body relaxes. Relaxation supports confidence. Another benefit of asking questions is time. Questions give you time to think. They slow the pace of conversation. This helps when you feel nervous. Instead of rushing to speak, you ask. While the other person speaks, your body settles. Your nervous system calms. Questions also guide conversation. Calm creates clarity. They gently shape direction. Instead of forcing topics, you explore them. Exploration feels natural. Force feels tense. Confidence prefers exploration. Another important idea is listening after asking. A question only works if you listen to the answer. Listening completes the connection. When you truly listen, you learn more. You also signal respect. Respect builds trust. Trust makes future conversations easier. Many people ask questions but do not listen. They wait to speak again. This breaks connection. Confidence stays present. Presence means staying with the answer, not planning the next move. Let the answer land. Listening often gives you your next response. You may notice something surprising. You do not need to search for it. Responses emerge naturally from attention. Another reason questions build confidence is shared responsibility. Conversation becomes a shared experience. You are no longer carrying it alone. Shared responsibility reduces fear. Fear often comes from feeling responsible for everything. Questions distribute that weight. Another helpful idea is asking open questions. Open questions invite longer responses. They create space. Space allows connection. Closed questions end quickly. Open questions continue flow. Flow feels confident, but do not overthink question type. Focus on tone. A warm tone matters more than structure. Another important point is timing. Questions work best when they feel natural. Do not interrupt to ask. Wait for pauses. Pauses are invitations. When you respect timing, conversations feel smooth. Smoothness supports confidence. Another challenge is fear of silence after a question. Silence may appear while the other person thinks. This silence is not failure. It is processing. Allow it. Rushing to fill silence can cut off meaningful responses. Confidence allows space. Another common mistake is asking questions to control. Some questions feel like traps. They feel judgmental. This creates tension. Confident questions are neutral. The intention behind the question matters. They invite, not corner. Ask to understand. Another powerful effect of questions is emotional safety, not to win. When people speak, they release tension. They feel heard. Being heard feels safe. Safety strengthens connection. Another benefit is learning. Connection builds confidence on both sides. Questions teach you about people. They reveal values. They reveal concerns. Understanding others makes future communication easier. You know how to approach. You know what matters. Confidence grows from understanding. Follow-ups show attention. Another helpful practice is asking follow-up questions. They deepen connection. You do not need many. One thoughtful follow-up is enough. It shows you care. Care builds trust. Trust makes communication easier. Another challenge is balancing questions and statements. It means balance. Confidence does not mean asking endlessly. Ask, listen, respond. Responding shows presence. Questions open doors. Responses walk through them. Another fear people have is asking personal questions. They worry about boundaries. Boundaries matter. Confidence respects boundaries. You can watch reactions. If someone opens up, continue gently. If they pull back, respect it. Respect builds comfort. Comfort supports confidence. Another helpful idea is curiosity about perspective. You can ask how someone sees something. Perspective questions reduce conflict. They show openness. Openness reduces defensiveness. Defensiveness blocks communication. Confidence lowers defenses. Questions slow conflict. Another powerful use of questions is during disagreement. They replace accusation with curiosity. Curiosity softens tension. You may not agree, but understanding reduces hostility. Another benefit of questions is learning about yourself. Asking reveals your interests. It shows what you care about. Confidence grows when you act from authenticity. Questions can reflect authenticity. Another challenge is fear of sounding intrusive. This fear often comes from overthinking. You can frame questions gently. Tone does most of the work. A calm tone feels respectful. Respect invites openness. Another important idea is self-questioning. You can ask yourself questions too. Questions guide internal clarity. Before speaking, you can ask what matters. This reduces confusion. Clear intention supports confidence. Another helpful practice is noticing how people respond to your questions. Do they relax? Do they engage? This feedback teaches you. Learning improves skill. Skill builds confidence. Another truth is that questions reduce pressure to be interesting. You no longer need to entertain. You need to engage. Engagement feels lighter. Lightness supports confidence. Another benefit is adaptability. Questions adapt to the moment. Prepared speeches cannot. Adaptability keeps communication alive. Alive communication feels confident. Another subtle effect is humility. Questions show humility. Humility builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence feels confident. Another idea is patience. Good questions require patience. You cannot rush understanding. Patience slows pace. Slower pace supports calm. Calm supports confidence. Another challenge is avoiding turning questions into statements. Some people ask questions that sound like opinions. This can feel confrontational. Confident questions are neutral. Neutrality invites honesty. Another benefit of questions is curiosity replaces fear. When curiosity is present, fear fades. You cannot be curious and afraid at the same time. Curiosity shifts focus outward. Outward focus reduces self-consciousness. Self-consciousness weakens confidence. Another idea is practicing questions daily. You do not need special moments. Ask simple questions. Everyday conversations are enough. Listen. These small practices build confidence quietly. Respond. Over time, asking questions becomes natural. You stop forcing conversation. Conversation flows. Flow feels confident. You may notice something else. People respond warmly to you. They feel comfortable. Comfort returns to you. Confidence grows through this loop. Questions are not tools for control. They are bridges. Bridges connect people. Connection is the foundation of confident communication. You do not need to talk more to be confident. You need to connect more. Questions make that possible. Ask with care. Listen with patience. Respond with presence. Confidence will follow. Chapter 8. Reading the room without losing yourself. Every conversation happens in a context. There is a mood. There is an energy. There are unspoken signals moving beneath the words. Confident communicators sense these signals. They do not guess blindly. They observe calmly. This skill is often called reading the room. Many people misunderstand what this means. They think it requires changing yourself to fit others. They think it means pleasing everyone. That is not true. Reading the room is not about losing yourself. It is about awareness. Awareness allows choice. Choice protects confidence. When you ignore the room, communication feels awkward. When you become controlled by the room, communication feels fake. Confidence lives in the middle. It begins with noticing. Notice the emotional temperature. Is the space relaxed or tense? Is it quiet or energetic? Is it focused or distracted? These details matter. They guide how you speak, not what you believe, not who you are. Awareness does not erase authenticity. It supports it. Think about walking into a quiet library. You do not feel fake. You lower your voice naturally. You feel appropriate. This is reading the room. You adjust volume, not values. Many people fear this skill because they confuse adjustment with weakness. They think staying the same in every situation is strength, but rigid communication often breaks connection. Flexibility is not weakness. It is intelligence. Confidence allows flexibility without self-betrayal. Another important idea is that rooms are emotional, not just physical. A room can be one person. A conversation has a tone. Is the person open? You can sense it. Is the person guarded? These cues guide pacing. Is the person rushed? If someone feels rushed, keep it brief. If someone feels open, you can explore more. This is respect. Respect strengthens confidence. People communicate constantly through their bodies. Reading the room also means noticing reactions. They lean in. They pull back. They nod. They pause. These signals are information. Confident communicators receive this information without panic. They do not overinterpret. They observe. Observation creates calm. Another mistake people make is assuming silence means disinterest. Sometimes silence means thinking. Sometimes it means processing. Confidence allows silence. Do not rush to fill every gap. Let the moment breathe. If someone looks confused, slow down. If someone looks engaged, continue. This responsiveness makes communication feel natural. Natural communication feels confident. Another challenge is emotional contagion. Strong emotions spread. If a room feels tense, you may feel tense. If a room feels anxious, you may absorb that anxiety. Confidence does not mean ignoring this. It means managing it. Feel your breath. You can acknowledge the energy without letting it control you. Ground yourself first. Feel your body. When you are grounded, you can remain calm even in tension. Calm presence often shifts the room. Your steadiness influences it. You do not need to fix energy. Another important distinction is awareness versus approval. Reading the room does not mean agreeing with everyone. You can understand mood without changing your message. Confidence allows you to hold your ground gently, but you do not abandon truth. You may choose softer delivery. Delivery and truth are different. Many people fear speaking honestly because they worry about reactions. They read the room and silence themselves. That is not confidence. Another key idea is timing. Confidence uses awareness to communicate effectively, not to disappear. Reading the room helps you choose when to speak. Sometimes the moment is right. Waiting does not mean weakness. Sometimes it is not. It means wisdom. You can sense when attention is available. Speaking at the right time increases impact. Impact feels confident. Another challenge is misreading the room. This happens. You may think someone is uninterested when they are tired. You may think someone is upset when they are focused. Do not assume certainty. You can check gently. Confidence accepts uncertainty. Reading the room is about probability, not perfection. You can ask. You can adjust. Adjusting is not failure. People worry their presence will disrupt the room. It is responsiveness. Another fear is standing out. This fear leads to shrinking, but rooms need contribution. Confidence does not vanish to preserve comfort. It contributes respectfully. You can speak calmly, even if your view is different. Difference does not equal disruption. Respectful difference adds value. Another aspect of reading the room is cultural awareness. Different cultures express emotion differently. Some are direct, some are reserved. Awareness prevents misunderstanding. You do not need to know everything. You need curiosity. Curiosity replaces judgment. Another important idea is noticing your own state. Judgment blocks confidence. Curiosity opens communication. If you are tired, you may misread signals. You are part of the room. Your mood affects interaction. If you are anxious, you may see threat where none exists. Confidence includes self-checking. Ask yourself how you feel before interpreting others. This reduces distortion. Another common mistake is trying too hard to fit the room. Over-adjustment feels unnatural. People sense it. Confidence adjusts lightly, not excessively. Small changes are enough. Lower volume, slower pace, softer tone. You do not need to change personality. Personality stays. A style adapts. Another skill is noticing group dynamics. In group settings, energy shifts. Some voices dominate. Some stay quiet. Reading the room helps you choose entry points. You can wait for pauses. You can address the group calmly. You do not need to compete for space. Confidence finds space naturally. Another fear is being ignored. This fear pushes people to speak louder or faster. That often backfires. Calm entry is more effective. When you speak calmly, people notice. Calm stands out. Another helpful idea is emotional labeling. You can name the room gently. Naming reduces tension. It shows awareness. Awareness builds trust. Trust supports confidence. Some rooms feel evaluative. Another challenge is pressure to perform. Meetings, interviews, formal settings. Pressure tightens the body. Return to basics. Breathe. Slow down. Speak clearly. You do not need to impress the room. You need to communicate. Communication over performance. Another important truth is that rooms change. Energy shifts during conversations. What worked earlier may need adjustment later. Stay flexible. Confidence adapts in real time. Another mistake is taking responsibility for the entire room. You do not need to manage everyone's feelings. You are responsible for your presence, not for outcomes. This release reduces pressure. Reduced pressure supports confidence. Another useful practice is observation without story. Notice facts before interpretation. Someone crossed arms. That is a fact. They are angry. Stories escalate emotion. That is a story. Facts ground you. Confidence stays with facts. Another helpful idea is neutrality. Neutral presence calms rooms. You do not need strong reactions to everything. Measured response feels confident. Another challenge is dealing with dominant personalities. Some people fill space. Reading the room helps you wait. You can enter when space opens. You do not need to fight. Confidence does not fight for attention. It chooses timing. Another aspect is ending contributions. Knowing when to stop matters. Overstaying can drain energy. Ending at the right moment leaves impact. Impact supports confidence. Another truth is that not every room will feel right. Some spaces do not match you. This does not mean you are wrong. Confidence allows acceptance. You do your best. Not all connections will form. You remain yourself. That is normal. Another important idea is learning from experience. Each room teaches you something. What worked? What did not? Learning refines awareness. Refined awareness builds confidence. Another subtle skill is emotional regulation in response to room energy. If a room feels anxious, slow yourself. You do not need to mirror emotion. If it feels rushed, ground yourself. You can complement it. Complementary energy stabilizes. Stability feels confident. Another challenge is self-consciousness. Worrying about how you appear blocks awareness. Shift attention outward. Notice others. Outward focus reduces self-consciousness. Reduced self-consciousness strengthens confidence. Another helpful practice is post-conversation reflection, not criticism. Reflection. What did you notice? What did you feel? Skill builds confidence. Reflection builds skill. Another important idea is that reading the room is not mind reading. You do not need certainty. You need sensitivity. Sensitivity without self-erasure. Confidence balances both. Another fear is making the room uncomfortable. Honest communication sometimes does. Discomfort is not always bad. Growth often includes discomfort. Confidence tolerates temporary discomfort for long-term clarity. Another skill is aligning message with context. You may share the same idea differently in different rooms. This is not dishonesty. It is communication. Different contexts require different framing. Framing improves understanding. Another important truth is trusting your intuition. Understanding supports confidence. Do not obey it blindly. Intuition improves with experience. Do not ignore it. Balance intuition with observation. Balance creates wisdom. Another challenge is emotional exhaustion. Constant awareness can feel tiring. You do not need to analyze constantly. Relax. Reading the room becomes natural with practice. You will sense without effort. Effortless awareness feels confident. Another helpful idea is staying curious instead of critical. Criticism hardens rooms. Curiosity softens them. Softness invites openness. Another benefit of reading the room well is leadership. Openness supports communication. People trust those who sense group needs. Trust builds influence. Influence feels confident. Another reminder is that you belong in rooms, even unfamiliar ones. Belonging is internal. Presence affects the room. When you believe you belong, your presence changes. Another important idea is humility. You may misread. That is okay. Humility allows correction. Correction improves skill. Skill builds confidence. Another challenge is overstimulation. Busy rooms overwhelm. Ground yourself. Focus on one person. This reduces overload. One moment. Reduced overload supports clarity. Stretching builds growth. Another truth is that confidence does not mean comfort in every room. Some rooms stretch you. Growth builds confidence. Another final idea is integration. Reading the room is one skill among many. With calm, it works with listening, with clarity. Together, they form confident communication. You do not need to master everything at once. Practice gently. Notice energy. Stay grounded. Speak with care. Do not lose yourself. Do not ignore others. Balance both. That balance is confidence in action, and with practice, it becomes natural. Chapter 9. Expressing your thoughts without fear of judgment. Fear of judgment is one of the strongest forces in communication. It stops words before they form. It tightens the body. Many people do not struggle with ideas. It convinces the mind to stay quiet. They struggle with permission. Permission to speak. Permission to be seen. Permission to be imperfect. It feels personal. Confidence grows when you understand this fear instead of fighting it. Judgment feels dangerous because it touches identity. It feels final. But most judgment is neither personal nor permanent. People judge quickly. They also forget quickly. Most people are focused on themselves. This truth changes how you speak. Their worries, their thoughts, their concerns. They are not watching you as closely as you think. Fear tells you otherwise. Fear exaggerates attention. Confidence comes from correcting this exaggeration. Another important truth is that judgment is unavoidable. No matter what you say, someone may disagree, someone may misunderstand, someone may not like it. Trying to avoid judgment entirely leads to silence. Silence feels safe at first, but over time it creates frustration. You begin to feel unseen, unheard. That feeling hurts more than judgment. Confidence grows when you accept this trade-off. Silence risks invisibility. Speaking risks judgment. You choose which risk you are willing to take. Expressing thoughts does not require bravery. It requires honesty. Honesty with yourself first. Ask yourself why you want to speak. Is it to share, to clarify, to connect? When intention is clear, fear loses strength. Another reason fear of judgment grows is perfectionism. People believe they must say things the right way. They wait for perfect timing, perfect words, perfect tone. Perfection rarely arrives. Confidence does not wait. They need to be genuine. Your thoughts do not need to be polished. It works with what is available. Genuine communication feels human. Humans are imperfect. Imperfection builds trust. Many people fear being wrong. They equate being wrong with being weak. This belief is false. Part of learning. Being wrong is part of thinking, part of growth. Confident communicators allow room for error. They express thoughts as thoughts, not as final truths. This reduces pressure. You can say what you think without claiming certainty. This approach invites conversation instead of conflict. Another source of fear is past experience. Maybe you were criticized once. Maybe you were laughed at. Protection can become overprotection. Your brain remembers pain. It tries to protect you. Confidence thanks the brain for protection, then chooses differently. Overprotection limits expression. You are not in the same moment anymore. You are not the same person. Awareness breaks old patterns. Another helpful idea is separating thought from self. A thought is something you have, not something you are. If someone disagrees with your thought, they are not rejecting you. This separation reduces fear. They are engaging with an idea. It allows you to speak without tying worth to reaction. Another challenge is anticipating judgment before it happens. People imagine negative reactions. They picture faces. They hear criticism. This imagination feels real, but it is still imagination. Confidence returns you to the present. The present moment often holds less threat than imagined futures. Speak from now, not from imagined outcomes. Another helpful practice is grounding before expression. Notice your breath. Notice your body. When you feel grounded, fear softens. Grounding brings you out of your head. Another important idea is clarity of message. Fear increases when thoughts feel scattered. Take a moment to find the core idea. Clarity reduces vulnerability. Another reason fear of judgment persists is lack of exposure. One clear thought feels safer to share than many unclear ones. Exposure weakens fear. Avoidance strengthens fear. The less you speak, the more speaking feels dangerous. Small expressions matter. You do not need dramatic exposure. Share a short opinion. Make a small comment. Each expression teaches your brain something new. You spoke. Nothing terrible happened. This learning builds confidence slowly. Another fear is being misunderstood. Misunderstanding happens. It is part of communication. You can clarify. Clarification does not mean failure. It means care. Confident communicators clarify calmly. Another trap is apologizing before speaking. They do not panic when misunderstood. People soften their thoughts too much. They say things like, "This might sound stupid." This invites judgment instead of preventing it. Confidence respects your thoughts. You can express gently without diminishing yourself. You do not need to apologize for having them. Another challenge is tone insecurity. People worry their tone will be judged, but fear distorts it. Tone matters. When you are calm, tone follows. Focus on calm first. Another helpful idea is to treat expression as contribution, not performance. You are adding something to a shared space. You are not auditioning. Contribution feels lighter. Performance feels heavy. Choose contribution. Another important idea is self-compassion. This inner critic is loud. Fear of judgment often includes harsh self-judgment. You judge yourself before others can. Confidence softens that voice. You can acknowledge fear without obeying it. You can say internally, I feel nervous, and I can still speak. This permission matters. Another reason fear grows is comparison. You compare your thoughts to others. You think theirs are better. This comparison blocks expression. Your thoughts do not need to compete. They only need to be yours. Authenticity beats comparison. Another helpful approach is testing expression. You can say you are exploring. This creates space. You can frame thoughts tentatively. Exploration invites dialogue. Dialogue reduces judgment pressure. Another important idea is remembering why communication matters. Expression connects. Connection reduces loneliness. Fear isolates. Expression connects. Confidence chooses connection over isolation. Another challenge is public expression. The same principles apply. Groups increase fear. Ground. Clarify. Groups are made of individuals. Speak simply. They feel fear too. Another helpful idea is focusing on one listener. Instead of the whole group, imagine one person. This reduces intensity. Intensity fuels fear. Reducing intensity supports confidence. Another reason fear persists is identity attachment. People attach identity to opinions. They fear losing identity if challenged. Light grip reduces fear. Confidence allows flexibility. You can hold ideas lightly. Another helpful practice is reflecting after expression. To notice, not to criticize. Notice that you survived. This reinforces confidence. Notice what went well. Fear of judgment does not disappear instantly. Another important idea is patience. It fades through repetition. Another challenge is emotional vulnerability. Be patient with yourself. Growth is gradual, but vulnerability often builds trust. Sharing feelings feels risky. Trust reduces judgment. Share honestly at a level that feels safe. You do not need to overshare. Safety supports confidence. Another fear is being labeled. People worry others will define them by one statement. Labels are simplistic. Confidence remembers this. People are complex. One moment does not define you. Practice where support exists. Another helpful idea is choosing environments wisely. Some spaces are safer to practice. Confidence grows faster in supportive spaces. Another challenge is inner narratives. Stories like, I am bad at speaking. Stories shape behavior. You can challenge stories. You can build new ones. Another helpful approach is viewing expression as skill building. Skills improve with use. Each time you speak, you rewrite narrative. Mistakes are part of skill building. This mindset reduces fear. Another important truth is that judgment often says more about the judge. You do not need to absorb projection. People project their own fears. Confidence maintains boundaries. Another challenge is silence after expression. Silence may follow your words. Silence does not always mean judgment. It can mean thought. Allow it. Confidence tolerates silence. Another helpful idea is curiosity about reactions. Observe facial expressions. Instead of assuming judgment, observe. Observe tone. Reality often differs from fear. Another important practice is celebrating courage. This reinforcement builds confidence. Speaking despite fear is courage. Acknowledge it. Familiarity comes from practice. Another truth is that expression feels easier over time. Fear shrinks with familiarity. Practice comes from willingness. Another challenge is managing regret. Sometimes you wish you said something differently. Regret is normal. Use it as learning, not punishment. Learning strengthens confidence. Another important idea is remembering that your voice matters. Your perspective adds value, even if others disagree. Value is not consensus. Value is contribution. Another fear is being ignored. Being ignored hurts, but silence hurts more. Expression at least gives possibility. When you speak from values, fear lessens. Another helpful idea is staying aligned with values. Confidence chooses possibility. Alignment creates strength. Strength supports confidence. Another challenge is emotional exhaustion from fear. Fear is tiring. Expression frees energy. Confidence feels lighter. Another important truth is that you will never eliminate judgment. You can reduce its power. Power reduces when you speak anyway. Each expression weakens fear. Another helpful idea is reframing judgment as information, not verdict. Confidence chooses information. Information can be used or ignored. Verdicts feel final. Do not replay endlessly. Stay grounded. Another challenge is maintaining calm after expression. Move on. This prevents rumination. Another important idea is practicing self-trust. Trust that you can handle responses. Trust builds through experience. Another helpful practice is ending expression cleanly. Say what you need to say, then stop. Over-explaining invites judgment. Clarity protects confidence. Another truth is that fear of judgment often hides desire for approval. Approval feels good, but dependence weakens confidence. Confidence appreciates approval without needing it. Another challenge is internal pressure to be liked. You can be respectful without being liked by everyone. Respect matters more. Another important idea is courage grows through action. Waiting for fear to disappear does not work. Acting despite fear does. Another helpful practice is noticing your growth. Remember how far you have come. This perspective supports confidence. Another truth is that expression is an act of self-respect. It honors your inner world. Self-respect strengthens confidence. Another challenge is staying kind to yourself after judgment. Some judgment may happen. Respond with self-compassion. You are learning. Another helpful idea is viewing communication as practice, not test. Practice mindset reduces pressure. Another truth is that confidence is not loud. It is steady. Steadiness comes from trust. Trust grows through expression. Speak honestly. Speak when something matters to you. Speak calmly. Speak anyway. Fear may appear. Let it be there. Each time you do, fear loses ground, and confidence gains it. Chapter 10. Handling silence without losing confidence. Silence is one of the most misunderstood parts of communication. Many people fear it more than speaking. They believe silence means failure. They believe it means rejection. This belief creates anxiety, but silence is not the enemy. Silence appears in many forms. It is a neutral space. Confidence grows when you learn to stay calm inside silence. A quiet moment in a group, a pause after a question, a gap in conversation. These moments feel uncomfortable when you are unsure of yourself. They feel natural when you are grounded. The difference is interpretation. If you interpret silence as danger, your body reacts, your heart speeds up, your mind searches for words. If you interpret silence as space, your body stays calm. Silence often means thinking. Confidence begins with changing interpretation. It means processing. It means reflection. Not every moment needs words. Words lose power when they fill every space. Silence gives meaning to speech. Confident communicators understand this. They do not rush to rescue conversations. They allow moments to breathe. Many people rush because they fear being judged. They think others expect them to speak. Most of the time this expectation exists only in their mind. Others are often comfortable with pauses. Silence feels louder to you than to others. This realization reduces fear. Another important idea is that silence creates balance. When one person speaks non-stop, connection fades. Silence invites participation. It gives others room to enter. This shared rhythm feels natural. Confidence respects rhythm. Another challenge is silence after you speak. Then nothing happens. You say something. This moment can feel heavy. Your mind may tell you that you said something wrong. Often, people are simply thinking. Thinking takes time. Allow it. Confidence does not rush outcomes. Another reason silence feels threatening is the urge to control. People want conversations to move smoothly. Control increases pressure. Release of control brings calm. You cannot force flow. You can allow it. Allowing silence helps flow emerge naturally. Another important idea is grounding during silence. When silence appears, return to the body. Feel your feet. Feel your breath. This anchors you. Anchoring prevents panic. When panic does not take over, confidence remains. Another challenge is silence in group settings. Groups amplify fear. You may feel exposed. Remember this. Groups contain many inner worlds. They may be tired. Others may be distracted. They may be processing. Silence rarely means judgment. Confidence remembers this. Another helpful approach is using silence intentionally. Silence can emphasize a point. When you pause after a sentence, it lands deeper. People listen more carefully. Silence adds weight. Weight adds authority. Authority feels confident. Another reason silence feels difficult is social conditioning. People are taught to fill gaps. They learn that smooth talk equals success. Thoughtfulness builds trust. But real connection includes pauses. Pauses show thoughtfulness. Another challenge is silence after asking a question. You ask. You wait. Waiting feels long. Resist the urge to rephrase immediately. Let the other person think. Thinking leads to better answers. Better answers deepen connection. Another important idea is self-trust during silence. Trust that you do not need to perform. Trust that presence is enough. Presence communicates confidence without words. Another reason silence feels awkward is self-consciousness. You worry about how you look. Shift focus outward. Notice others. Notice the space. Outward focus reduces self-consciousness. Reduced self-consciousness supports confidence. Another helpful idea is naming silence internally. You can think, this is a pause. Labeling normalizes it. Normalization reduces fear. Another challenge is silence in emotional conversations. Emotions slow thinking. Silence allows emotions to settle. Rushing words can escalate emotion. Silence can de-escalate. Confidence allows space for feelings. Another important idea is that silence can signal respect. Listening without interrupting shows care. Care builds trust. Trust supports confidence. Another fear is that silence makes you forget what to say. You can pause longer. If that happens, it is okay. You can return to your point calmly. Forgetting is human. Confidence accepts this. Another helpful practice is breathing during silence. Slow breathing calms nerves. Calm nerves reduce urgency. Reduced urgency supports clarity. Another important idea is silence as a test of comfort. Your comfort with silence reflects comfort with yourself. Acceptance reduces struggle. The more you accept silence, the more confident you feel. Another challenge is silence in professional settings. Meetings feel evaluative. Silence may feel risky, but thoughtful pauses often increase credibility. They signal consideration. Consideration feels professional. Another helpful idea is observing confident people. They do not rush. They often pause. They let words arrive naturally. They are not afraid of quiet. Another truth is that silence reveals insecurity when avoided. Avoidance signals discomfort. Comfort with silence signals confidence. Another important idea is practicing silence. You can practice intentionally. Pause before responding. Let a moment pass. This builds tolerance. Tolerance reduces fear. Another challenge is inner chatter during silence. Your mind may criticize you. Let the chatter pass. Do not engage. Engaging fuels anxiety. Letting pass builds calm. Another helpful approach is reframing silence as listening time. Listening time is valuable. Value reduces fear. Another important idea is silence creates depth. Depth comes from reflection. Reflection enriches conversation. Rich conversation feels confident. Another fear is silence after disagreement. Silence can feel tense, but it can allow cooling. Cooling prevents escalation. Another helpful idea is patience. Confidence values cooling. Silence tests patience. Patience strengthens emotional regulation. Regulation supports confidence. Another important idea is knowing when to break silence. Silence does not last forever. When you speak again, speak calmly. Do not rush to apologize for silence. Silence needs no apology. Another challenge is cultural differences around silence. Some cultures value it more. Awareness prevents misunderstanding. Confidence adapts without self-erasure. Another helpful idea is silence. After mistakes, you may stumble, pause, reset, continue. This recovery builds confidence. Another important idea is silence allows authenticity. Without constant talking, you connect more deeply. Depth reduces performance pressure. Another truth is silence is part of natural rhythm. Fighting rhythm creates tension. Flow comes from acceptance. Another challenge is silence in new relationships. Newness increases fear. Allow time. Time builds familiarity. Familiarity reduces fear. Another helpful idea is silence as strength. Strength does not always speak. Sometimes it holds space. Holding space feels confident. Another important idea is that silence does not define you. It is a moment, not an identity. Confidence remembers this. Another challenge is silence after emotional sharing. Let it sit. Emotion needs space. Space honors vulnerability. Honoring vulnerability builds trust. Another helpful idea is trusting the conversation. Conversations have their own pace. You do not need to control it. Control creates tension. Trust creates ease. Another important idea is that silence sharpens awareness. You notice more when you pause. Awareness improves communication. Another challenge is silence in leadership moments. Leaders often pause. Pauses show thought. Thought shows responsibility. Responsibility feels confident. Another helpful idea is practicing comfort with yourself. Silence is time with yourself. Comfort with self equals confidence. Another truth is silence is not empty. It is full of meaning. Meaning emerges when you allow it. Another challenge is silence triggers old fears. Notice them. Do not obey them. Another important idea is silence helps you listen to intuition. Confidence is choosing presence over fear. Intuition speaks softly. Silence allows you to hear it. Another helpful idea is ending conversations with silence. A calm pause can be a clean ending. Another truth is that silence does not weaken communication. Clean endings leave positive impressions. It strengthens it. When used with awareness, silence becomes a tool for clarity, a tool for calm, a tool for confidence. You do not need to fear silence. You need to understand it. When you do, silence becomes an ally, and confidence grows in the quiet spaces between words. Chapter 11. Recovering gracefully. After mistakes. Mistakes happen in every conversation. Words come out wrong. Timing feels off. Reactions do not land as expected. No one avoids this completely. Confidence is not about never making mistakes. It is about what you do after they happen. Many people lose confidence because they believe mistakes define them. They replay moments again and again. They judge themselves harshly. This reaction causes more harm than the mistake itself. A mistake is a moment, not an identity. Confidence grows when you learn to recover with grace. The first step is recognizing that mistakes are normal. Even confident communicators, everyone makes them. The difference is not frequency, it is response. When a mistake happens, your body reacts quickly. Your heart may race, your face may warm, your thoughts may scatter. This reaction is natural. Do not fight it. Notice it. Noticing creates space. In that space, you can choose how to respond. Many people respond by freezing. They go quiet. They withdraw. Others respond by over-explaining. They talk too much. They try to fix everything at once. Neither response supports confidence. Recovery begins with calm. Take a breath. Slow down. You do not need to fix everything immediately. Often, a simple acknowledgement is enough. Acknowledgement shows awareness. Awareness builds trust. You can clarify without panic. You can correct yourself calmly. Calm correction feels confident. Another important idea is letting go of perfection. Perfectionism turns small mistakes into disasters. When you expect perfection, mistakes feel unbearable. Confidence accepts imperfection. Acceptance reduces fear. Fear reduction supports recovery. Another challenge is self-criticism after mistakes. The inner voice becomes harsh. This voice drains confidence. Instead of criticism, try curiosity. Ask what you can learn. Learning turns mistakes into growth. Growth builds confidence. Another helpful idea is remembering that others are forgiving. People rarely hold on to small errors. They move on quickly. You should too. Holding on to mistakes keeps you stuck in the past. Confidence lives in the present. Another fear is embarrassment. Embarrassment feels intense, but embarrassment fades. It always does. Time softens emotion. You do not need to escape embarrassment. You need to allow it to pass. Allowing builds resilience. Resilience supports confidence. Another important idea is repair. If a mistake affects someone else, repair matters. Repair does not require drama. It requires sincerity. A simple apology can restore balance. Apologies do not weaken confidence. They strengthen it. They show accountability. Accountability builds trust. Another challenge is fear of repeating mistakes. This fear causes hesitation. Hesitation increases pressure. Pressure leads to more mistakes. This cycle breaks when you accept learning. Mistakes teach. Learning reduces repetition. Confidence grows through learning. Another important idea is perspective. In the moment, mistakes feel large. Later, they feel small. Perspective comes with distance. You can create distance mentally. Ask yourself how this will matter later. You replay mistakes endlessly. This question reduces intensity. Another challenge is rumination. Rumination fuels anxiety. Confidence chooses reflection instead. Reflection is short. It is purposeful. It asks what matters. Then it moves on. Another helpful idea is humor. Gentle humor can soften mistakes. It shows ease. Ease signals confidence. Do not force humor. Let it be natural. Another important idea is staying present after mistakes. Many people mentally leave the conversation. They miss what comes next. Stay present. Presence allows recovery. Another challenge is fear of judgment after mistakes. You assume others are judging. Most are not. They are focused on themselves. This truth reduces fear. Another helpful idea is practicing recovery. You can practice calm correction. Practice reduces fear. Fear reduction builds confidence. Another important idea is self-compassion. Speak to yourself kindly. Kindness reduces stress. Reduced stress improves communication. Another challenge is identity attachment. You think mistakes mean you are bad at speaking. This belief limits growth. A mistake is behavior. Separate behavior from identity, not identity. Confidence protects identity. Another helpful idea is patience. Recovery skills take time. Do not rush progress. Progress builds through experience. Another important idea is modeling confidence. When you recover calmly, others learn. You create safety. Safety improves communication. Another challenge is public mistakes. Groups increase fear. The same principles apply. Pause. Correct calmly. Continue. Groups respect calm recovery. Another helpful idea is reframing mistakes as data. Data informs improvement. Improvement builds skill. Skill builds confidence. Another important idea is letting go of control. You cannot control reactions. You can control response. Control of response is confidence. Another challenge is staying open after mistakes. Some people close off. Closing off limits connection. Stay open. Openness invites understanding. Another helpful idea is acknowledging effort. Trying matters. Effort builds courage. Courage supports confidence. Another important idea is consistency. Recovery improves with repetition. Each recovery strengthens confidence. Another challenge is shame. Shame isolates. Connection heals. Talk about mistakes with trusted people. Sharing reduces weight. Another helpful idea is gratitude. Be grateful for learning. Learning comes from mistakes. Another important idea is remembering your progress. One mistake does not erase growth. Growth is cumulative. Confidence remembers this. Another challenge is moving forward. After recovery, move on. Do not linger. Lingering feeds anxiety. Another helpful idea is resetting focus. Focus on connection again. Connection grounds you. Another important idea is that mistakes humanize you. People relate to imperfection. Relatability builds trust. Trust supports confidence. Another challenge is fear of future conversations. Past mistakes may haunt you. Use them as reminders of resilience. You survived. You learned. Confidence grows from survival. Another helpful idea is recognizing courage. Speaking despite fear is courageous. Courage builds confidence. Another important idea is practicing calm endings. End conversations cleanly. Do not drag mistakes forward. Another challenge is self-image. Protect your self-image through compassion. Compassion sustains confidence. Another helpful idea is returning to breath. Breath resets nervous system. Reset supports recovery. Another important idea is staying grounded in values. Speak with integrity. Integrity remains even when mistakes occur. Integrity anchors confidence. Another challenge is perfection pressure from others. Release it. You are allowed to be human. Another helpful idea is patience with learning curve. Skills grow gradually. Another important idea is remembering why you communicate. Connection matters more than perfection. Connection heals mistakes. Another truth is that confidence grows faster through recovery than success. Recovery builds resilience. Resilience builds confidence. Mistakes are not setbacks, they are teachers. When you learn to recover gracefully, mistakes lose power. They become moments of growth. Growth strengthens confidence, and confidence becomes steady. Not because you never fall, but because you always rise with calm. Chapter 12: Becoming a Confident Communicator for Life. Confidence in communication is not a destination. It is a relationship. A relationship with your voice, with your thoughts, with other people. This relationship changes over time. It grows. It deepens. Many people search for a final moment when confidence arrives forever. They wait for fear to disappear completely. They wait for perfect ease. That moment does not exist, and that is good news. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move with fear present. Throughout this journey, you have learned many skills. You have learned to slow down, to listen, to speak clearly, to ask questions, to stay calm, to recover after mistakes. These are not tricks. They are habits. Habits shape identity. Over time, these habits become natural. You stop thinking about them. You start living them. This is how confidence becomes part of you. One important truth is this: confidence must be practiced continuously. Not aggressively, not perfectly, gently. Every conversation is practice. Every interaction reinforces learning. There is no finish line. There is only progress. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel uncertain. Both are normal. Confidence does not demand consistency of feeling. It requires consistency of action. When you show up even on uncertain days, confidence grows. Another important idea is self-trust. Confidence rests on trust. Trust that you can handle reactions. Trust that you can recover from mistakes. Trust that your voice matters. This trust is built through experience. Each time you speak honestly, trust increases, even when outcomes are imperfect. Especially then. Another challenge many people face is old identity. You may still think of yourself as quiet, or shy, or awkward. Identities change slowly. Do not fight old labels. Outgrow them. Each confident action weakens old stories. Stories fade when new evidence appears. Another important idea is staying aligned with values. When you speak from values, confidence feels grounded. You are not chasing approval. You are expressing truth. Truth may not always be welcomed, but it always strengthens integrity. Integrity supports confidence. Another challenge is setbacks. Setbacks will happen. A bad conversation, an awkward moment, a misunderstanding. Do not treat setbacks as proof of failure. They are part of growth. Growth is uneven. Confidence survives uneven growth. Another important idea is humility. Confidence is not arrogance. It does not require dominance. It does not require certainty in everything. Humility allows learning. Learning keeps confidence flexible. Flexibility prevents rigidity. Rigidity breaks connection. Confidence stays flexible. Another truth is that confident communication is relational. It adapts to people. You will not speak the same way with everyone. This is not inconsistency. It is awareness. Awareness enhances connection. Another challenge is comparison. You may compare yourself to others. Comparison drains confidence. Everyone's journey is different. Your pace is your pace. Respect it. Another important idea is patience. Change takes time. Neural pathways need repetition. Do not rush progress. Confidence built slowly lasts longer. Another truth is that confidence deepens with age and experience. You learn what matters. You stop wasting energy on small judgments. Perspective grows. Perspective calms fear. Another challenge is life transitions. New jobs, new relationships, new environments. Each transition resets comfort. Confidence may feel shaky again. This does not mean you lost it. It means you are growing. Use the same skills again. They still work. Another important idea is rest. Confidence requires energy. Exhaustion weakens presence. Take care of yourself. Rest supports communication. Another truth is that confidence includes boundaries. You do not need to speak all the time. You can choose silence. Choice is confidence. Another challenge is emotional weight. Strong emotions can cloud communication. Return to basics. Breathe. Slow down. Listen. Basics always work. Another important idea is forgiveness. Forgive yourself for past silence. Forgive yourself for past mistakes. Forgiveness releases energy. Energy fuels confidence. Another truth is that communication is a skill that evolves. You will continue learning. Stay curious. Curiosity keeps confidence alive. Another challenge is losing motivation. Progress may feel invisible. Trust the process. Confidence builds quietly. One day, you will notice something. You speak with less effort. You recover faster. You feel steadier. This is not luck. It is practice. Another important idea is presence. Presence is the heart of confident communication. When you are present, fear fades. Presence cannot exist in the future or past. It lives now. Return to now. Another truth is that confidence spreads. When you communicate calmly, others relax. Relaxed people communicate better. You create positive cycles. Another challenge is responsibility. Use confidence wisely. Words matter. Speak with care. Care strengthens trust. Trust strengthens connection. Another important idea is purpose. Why do you communicate? To connect, to understand, to contribute. Keep this purpose close. Purpose guides behavior. Another truth is that you are allowed to grow beyond old limits. You are not fixed. Confidence grows with permission. Give yourself permission. Another challenge is fear returning unexpectedly. Fear will visit. Greet it calmly. Fear does not control you anymore. Another important idea is reflection. Reflect occasionally. Notice growth. Celebrate progress quietly. Acknowledgement reinforces confidence. Another truth is that confident communication improves life. Relationships deepen. Misunderstandings reduce. Opportunities expand. This is not magic. It is clarity. Another challenge is maintaining balance. Confidence without empathy feels cold. Empathy without confidence feels weak. Balance both. Balance feels strong. Another important idea is legacy. Your communication affects others. Kind words stay. Calm presence spreads. Use this power well. Another truth is that confidence is not loud. It is steady. It does not demand attention. It earns respect. Another challenge is remembering everything. You do not need to remember every lesson. Live them. They will surface when needed. Another important idea is trust in process. You have built a foundation. Foundations support growth. Another truth is that you are already more confident than before. Growth has already happened. Even reading and reflecting shows intention. Intention matters. Another challenge is impatience. Let confidence unfold. Unfolding takes time. Another important idea is gratitude. Be grateful for your voice. It connects you to others. Another truth is that communication is lifelong practice. There is no end, only deepening. And that is the gift. You do not become a confident communicator once. You become one again and again. With each conversation, with each pause, with each honest word. Confidence lives in how you show up. And now, you know how to show up with calm, clarity, and presence. That knowledge stays with you for life.